The final game at Summer Games Fest that was Capcom adjacent that I had an opportunity to play, which is Onimusha. Sorry, didn't get a chance to play, got a chance to watch. This was only a visual presentation, so we got to watch people playing it. And yeah, there was a lot of assumptions. Like, I think early on, one of my predictions is that Capcom is gonna make a Souls-like, my dude. They're gonna do a Souls-like. Maybe, just maybe, Onimusha could be their first Souls-like, because there's a lot of these samurai action Souls-likes, you know, maybe, just maybe. I can tell you, brother, it is not that. No, it is certainly not. This game is 100% Onimusha. It is like, that is literally an Onimusha guy from the first game. Like right here, this is an Onimusha guy that talks shit to you in Onimusha. Like, he's literally that guy. It is not a Souls-like, so that'll probably alleviate a lot of people. It is a cinematic samurai action game. It has voice acting. It absolutely has voice acting. The monsters have voice acting, which is actually one of my favorite parts. This is a modern day PS2 game. If you took what effectively is Onimusha from the early 2000s, like 2001, and you're like, hey, what would Onimusha be like if it came out today? That's what this is. It is not trying to be something different. It is not trying to be Onimusha Blade Warriors. It is not trying to be something modernized in any way. They're just like, so what was Onimusha back in the day? Pretty much like Resident Evil, but an action game. And the whole point is that you do cool things to kill a bunch of enemies in the coolest way possible. Like, that was kind of with very limited, you know, tools at their disposal back in the day. That is the quintessential thesis slash entire thematic of what Onimusha Way of the Sword, I think is the name of this one, is going to be. This game is just asking the player to do really cool combat shit against these enemies and against these bosses. All the enemies that we saw and the engagements had clear and like obvious counters and stuff like that, and some not so obvious, where it's going to lead to this really cool moment of you killing this enemy in this way with a super cinematic fashion, clean the blade type of stuff. In ways, it reminds me a lot of what I'd say the things that I liked the most about Ghost of Tsushima, which was combat polish. And yeah, dude, the combat polish in Ghost of Tsushima kept me along for that game's combat for almost the entire game. And yeah, the combat wasn't super deep in Ghost of Tsushima, but because it looked so good, I was just on board for like however many hours I played that. That was, as you look at some of the gameplay footage here, it is actual gameplay. A dude was playing this. He screwed up a couple of times. There are so many counter animations and parries and unique strikes and the ability to use the environment in a multitude of ways, like things like that. Like there are, it almost is like a slow-paced, methodical Capcom Doom game where all these enemies have clear and concise, like almost like defeatable methods, and it's just about you figuring out how to get to all those with all these enemies in front of you. It's really fascinating. It's just like, let's just take what Onimusha was back in the day and just amplify it, you know? But it is slow, it is methodical, it is not like a super fast, like whack, 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 whack sort of game. You're gonna walk in and you're just gonna watch all these crazy ass animations play out during all of this shit, you know? So it's very neat, you know? It feels like it definitely is going for something adjacent to the classic Onimusha. But it is clearly modernized. There's a couple of things that I really liked about it. Outside of clear and concise like animation polish, like so many attacks and moves are just crazy polished, man. Like they spent so much time making the action look as cool as possible. So yeah, then there's some pretty interesting stuff. And for those that are expecting like, okay, so I wonder if this game is going to be almost like Metroidvania-like. I wonder if it is going to be a whole bunch of like, you know, big world traversals or grappling hooks or all that kind of stuff. Doesn't seem that way, man. It kind of seems like a boots on the ground sort of game where you are making your way through relatively focused, sort of like linear corridors, and the focus is enemy engagement. In that way, it reminds me a lot of like almost like Devil May Cry in a certain way, where it's just going to have you go through these linear sequences, be presented with the enemies. There's some small things, but it feels very DMC-ish, you know, where we're going to focus so much on how cool the combat looks and how the main character engages with these enemies during all of this combat, all the parrying, all of that shit. Eason is also in the game. Damn, I called it. Where I think that's what it's called. Right before enemies attack you, you can press the attack button and insta-kill, right? You can like quite literally cut their ass in half. It's a big part of, it was introduced in Onimusha 2, if what I remember. I can't remember if it was Onimusha 1. It's definitely in Onimusha 2. Maybe it's in Genma Onimusha. I can't remember. But it's kind of tough to do in the old games. And you can effectively like insta-kill like many of these characters with it. Onimusha 1 had it. It did. I think it was harder to do. So it's still here. And the cool part about it is that once you land one, if there's multiple enemies around you, you can chain it. So you can go boom, 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 and you can kind of like assassinate minor enemies in a specific area. Is it a perfect parry thing? Sorta. It's attacking an enemy right before they attack you, like right before. So that is in the game, and it's been expanded upon to make group interactions sort of like really sick every once in a while. Anyway, there's a story stuff that they talked about. There's story beats and elements where like the demons are controlling or the Genma, I think is what they call them. They're controlling certain parts of the environment and you have to take them out. And there's also big Genma, right? There's like optional really big demons that you can go fight, and this was one of them to get more upgrades or gear or anything like that. It seemed like they didn't show a skill tree or anything in that specific direction, but I'm assuming the upgrade path will be fairly similar to what we saw in the older Onimushas, maybe different weapons, but they only showed one weapon as of right now. There's this dude, which shows up, and you get into a boss fight, and it's seemingly a reoccurring boss fight. The main character is wearing red and has a gauntlet, and there's like a nemesis guy that is hanging out, your nemesis, that is wearing blue and is wearing a gauntlet. So it is very Capcom in touch. It definitely has that Capcom side to it. But yeah, visually might be the best, I'd say. Very well might be one of the best looking Capcom games I've ever seen. And we saw it running on a PS5 Pro, is what they told us. It was on a PS5 Pro, and it was unbelievable looking. Unbelievable. Just the amount of transition frames and animations and cinematic shots and how smooth and fluid everything just looked. The lighting in the environments was mind-blowing, man. It was astounding looking. And it pissed me off. It pissed me off that it wasn't playable. Like, made me, again, every game at Capcom almost made me, like, upset. The playable things they gave us either ended too early, and the one thing that would have been probably the most genuinely, amazingly playable thing was not playable. The one, like, true-ass combat action game was not playable there. I was big mad, my dude. I was big mad. That is the roughest part of everything they showed, because it all looked so good. This is exactly the game that you would want to get into the hands of people. This is literally the game where you want people to try it to give impressions, because like it looks amazing, and also, oh shit, the gameplay is also really good. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, they were just like not ready for that. They only showed one setting. It's just like one level, you know? It's just like one level in one area. So you're just like walking through a forest, walking through towns. It very much is similar to Onimusha 1. And now you start Onimusha 1 before you get to the fortress, you know? Very similar to that. And in fact, you have a giant fortress in the horizon that has like a malignancy or corruption or something around it. And that's where the main character's going. That's where his goal is. So in that same vein, yes, it is absolutely it is absolutely like in a spiritual remake of classic Onimusha. And I think they said that at some point. I can't confirm if they did. I don't remember. But people were asking about like Jubei and Samanosuke and some of those characters and stuff. And I think the interpretation was this game is Onimusha again in a new universe, right? Where they're revisiting Onimusha, but they're not tied down to any of the specific lore things or characters that were in previous stories. This story is about Musashi, and it is somewhat of a like a spiritual reboot. So I'm pretty sure, don't take my word for that exactly, but you know, I don't think they're held down by anything in Dawn of Dreams or Blade Warriors or anything like that. I don't think they are. At several points, they did say that many elements in the game are Japanese folklore related. Like a lot of different parts of the game are quite literally picked up off like heavy Japanese culture and folklore. So again, yeah, Musashi Miyamoto is the main character. He's a real dude, but there are other things that are like folklore inclined, which could have been real or had real elements in them that will be all around the story. I do like the main character having personality. I will say, I do personally like, and I even told the devs this, that the main guy in this game actually has a personality. Jubei and Samanosuke, as much as I dig both of those characters, don't really, they're pretty straight, man, like sort of like character personality types. Like they're just straightforward. They don't really have much to say. They don't really have much to do. They just sort of keep moving forward and are determined by their actions. This dude is absolutely saying shit, right? This guy and the enemies, which is something I really liked, the enemies are talking shit. Like there is, and this happens in Onimusha 1, it made me realize that they talk shit to each other during fights and stuff, which is really neat. And the voice actor was a really good call for the main character because it was also in English. There are these, this is so sick. Yes, this is the kind of shit, man. Like the game looks like this and it's running at like 60 FPS. It's like, what the hell? And this was like a different weapon. So you're already seeing different weapons. I want to give the example of like enemies talking shit and how much I love it. There is, let's watch this trailer really fast just to give like an example.
My world. What is this place? Also, you don't have a chance.
These guys. Like these guys, when you're running into them, you would be sitting here and you're like waiting for them to attack you because they have like a fireball attack that they can just parry. So these guys go, and they like scream and they suck up the souls of the enemies that you kill, and then they eat them and they get bigger, and they're like, they sit there right before they attack and literally lip synced and everything goes, Musashi, you're gonna die! And then it spits at you and then you go, boom, and it goes, ah! And it blows the fuck up. I'm like, neat. That's pretty cool. So that happened several points in the gameplay presentation where like a lot of the Genma talk shit to you like they're Halo enemies and shit, and they're like really pissed off. Like they really don't like you. And I told the devs this, that like, I kind of like that all the monsters are talking shit to me. Like they know who I am and they're big mad. They're big mad that you're hanging out and you're killing all their friends. They're big pissed off about this entire situation. I thought it was neat, you know? I thought it was cool. Story purpose, dude, that's an Onimusha 1. Like I realized it when I was thinking and complimenting them that I liked that part of the game. That's actually a thing that happens in Onimusha 1. The big demons just start talking to you and shit and saying you're dumb.
Not enough. I need more. Pick your battle, piggy.
Jesus. Your Jordans are fake. Good one, chat.
Musashi! We both want the same thing, Musashi. But there's only room for one at the top. And it won't be a coward who runs from jewels. Words never did work between us, did they? Sasaki Ganyu.
So this is one of those games that, like, from the presentation and everything, looks pretty straightforward, you know? And I do think so as well. It's kind of like, in many ways, people will look at a game like, I'd say, Neo, and this, and see a couple of pretty similar things, you know what I mean? But the execution is really different, and I wish I can actually talk more highly about it and look forward to it more. And I think it looks really good, but ultimately speaking, I was actually more impressed by Pragmata because I could play it and the game was like genuinely different. To me, this lines up exactly with what Onimusha is. There was not much that was super surprising about it, but what it ended up being was an incredibly polished, super high quality, ultra budget version of Onimusha in 2025. That's really what it is. So that's cool, right? It's cool that that is the nature, you know, of the game. And the problem I have with it is that I didn't get to play it. This truly feels like a game, like any traditional action game. You need to get your hands on this in order to start pulling some conclusions. Because to be real, all of these beautiful animations and stuff don't mean dick if the game doesn't feel good to play. And am I worried that a Capcom game won't feel good to play? It's literally the antithesis of that, man. Like, all Capcom games, like, gameplay and game feel are insanely important. So the problem is that I haven't played it, you know? I have not actually played it. I have not attacked enemies and I've not seen how they feel. I have had them not curse me out and talk shit to me as I beat them up and beat up their friends. Those are the things that will really impress me because I'm a gameplay guy, dude. Like, if this stuff doesn't line up and it just looks really good, that isn't enough for me to be really into it. I have to feel like we're doing the sickest samurai shit ever. And from the presentation, it looks like they're trying to do something that Ghost of Tsushima did, which is extremely polished combat, like really polished combat animations. And I just want to see what that feels like, dude. I just want to see what it feels like. I want to play it. I'm looking forward to eventually playing it. But my excitement for this is sort of like, unfortunately, my excitement level for all the Capcom games, number one is technically RE9 after playing it. And then a close second is Pragmata because I got to play a bit of it. And then a third is Onimusha. And they're all very close, but Onimusha I didn't get to play, man. And I might have thought this was my favorite game of the show if I got a chance to play it, my dude. So anyway, maybe it's not done, but still, these games are coming out nearly like back to back to back, possibly in 2026. It's insane, man. Like, if all of these games come out fiscal 2025, which is technically April 2026, like April 1st, 2026, that is going to be effing crazy, dude. It's going to be crazy if Capcom produces 3 super, like, incredibly huge, high-quality games in a short-ass period of time. That is nuts, man. They have so much stuff on the horizon, and I think it's going to happen. I honestly think it's going to be like, I think we're looking at like a January, February, March situation with all of these games where one might, and the same thing happened to like Resident Evil 2 Remake and Devil May Cry 5. They gave a game, like each game, like a month to a month and a half in between. And then they just had a huge like 2019, like a huge 2019 when those games dropped. So I think that could be the case. I think that might be packing out the first third of the year with a shit ton of stuff. So who knows what's going to happen after that. Anyway, Onimusha was really good. I'm looking forward to more, but more importantly, I'm looking forward to playing more.